Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to understand something powerful today. Your environment is either pushing you forward or pulling you backward. If you want to be great, if you want to succeed, if you want to live a life of purpose, then you cannot afford to spend your time with people who drain your energy, doubt your vision, or pull you away from your destiny. You must surround yourself with winners. Winners think differently. Winners operate differently. Winners don't just dream, they execute. And when you put yourself in the presence of people who are committed to excellence, their energy becomes contagious. I need you to hear me. If you're hanging around 5 people who complain, guess what? You're going to be the 6th complainer. But if you're hanging around 5 people who are disciplined, focused, and chasing greatness, then you're going to be number 6 on that list. Stop expecting to rise to championship level while training in a losing environment. You can't fly with eagles if you're scratching with chickens. Winners sharpen winners. Iron sharpens iron. And if you want to change your life, you've got to change your circle. I'm not telling you to cut people off forever, but I am telling you to guard your space. You only have so much energy in a day. Stop wasting it on gossip, drama, and negativity. Start investing it in growth, strategy, and execution. Surround yourself with people who see the best in you, even when you can't see it in yourself. Surround yourself with people who hold you accountable, who challenge you, who push you to your limits, and who celebrate your progress, not just your comfort. Remember, greatness is not an accident. It's a choice. And one of the greatest choices you can make is who you let into your environment. Winners build winners. So today, make the decision, change your circle, change your life. Your circle defines your standards, and whether you realize it or not, who you spend time with is silently programming the way you think, act, and respond to life. Think about it. Every single day, the people closest to you are teaching you what is acceptable, what is normal, what is possible, and what is impossible. If you are constantly surrounded by individuals who make excuses, who cut corners, who settle for less, then without even realizing it, you begin to believe that is what life is supposed to look like. You begin to see mediocrity as the standard. You begin to normalize laziness, procrastination, and average effort. That is the danger of your circle. But the opposite is also true. When you surround yourself with winners, with people who expect excellence from themselves, who demand accountability, who refuse to quit, their mindset begins to rub off on you. Suddenly, what used to feel difficult now becomes the bare minimum. What used to feel impossible now becomes your new starting point. You don't even have to think about it. The standard just shifts because human beings are creatures of adaptation. If you hang around people who work out every single day, eventually your brain says, this is normal. This is what we do. If you hang around people who complain and gossip, eventually your brain says, this is normal. This is what we do. And here's the truth. The standards you accept from your circle eventually become the standards you live by. That's why you cannot take this lightly. You cannot treat this as something small. Your future is hidden in your circle. Some of you are wondering why your life feels stuck. You're working hard, you're praying, you're hustling, but you're not moving at the pace you want. Could it be that your circle is holding you hostage? Could it be that you are trying to climb mountains with people who are content to stay in the valley? It's hard to fly when the people around you keep pulling you back to the ground every time you get momentum. They say, why are you doing all that? Why are you pushing so hard? Why don't you just relax? And if you're not careful, you'll start to think they're right. You'll start to think maybe you are doing too much. But that's the trap. They aren't trying to protect you. They're trying to protect their comfort zone. And when your circle values comfort over growth, your standard shrinks. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine being in a room full of people who dream big, who execute fast, who celebrate discipline instead of mocking it. Imagine being around people who clap for your wins, but also challenge you when you get sloppy. Imagine being surrounded by those who remind you daily that your potential is greater than your excuses. That environment forces you to elevate. You cannot stay small in a room full of giants. You cannot keep making excuses when everyone around you is executing. You cannot keep saying, I'll start tomorrow, when your circle is already 5 steps ahead. Their presence forces you to grow. That is the power of your circle defining your standards. Think about athletes. Why do they train with other top athletes? Because being in a gym full of world-class talent forces you to step up your game. If you train with average players, you'll settle into average performance. But when you're competing against the best every single day, your standard rises. Even if you didn't plan on being great, just being in that environment pulls greatness out of you. The same principle applies to every area of life: business, education, relationships, health, spirituality. Your circle sets a thermostat for your standards, and you will adapt to whatever temperature they set. You may be asking, but what if my family or my old friends don't share the same drive? Listen, you don't have to cut everyone off, but you must manage access. There's a difference between loving people and letting them lead your life. You can love someone without letting them influence your standards. You can care for them without letting their excuses become your excuses. At some point, you have to make a decision. Do you want to stay loyal to their comfort zone, or do you want to stay loyal to your destiny? Because you cannot have both. And here's the truth. Sometimes the hardest part about raising your standards is realizing that not everyone you started with will finish with you. But that's okay, because when you raise your standards, you attract a new circle. You begin to draw in people who are aligned with where you're going, not where you've been. Winners recognize winners. Discipline recognizes discipline. Hunger recognizes hunger. And when you start showing up with higher standards, you naturally begin to build a circle that reflects that same energy. So let me ask you a question. What is your circle teaching you right now? Are they teaching you to settle or to strive? Are they teaching you to wait or to work? Are they teaching you to complain or to create? Because every day they are teaching you something, and the lesson is shaping your future. If you don't like the lessons, change the classroom. And by classroom, I mean change the circle. I know it's not easy. Sometimes it feels lonely when you start raising your standards. You feel like you're the only one grinding, the only one sacrificing, the only one chasing something bigger. But let me reassure you, the loneliness doesn't last. As you elevate, the right people show up. They were waiting for you to raise your frequency so you could meet them on that level. You just have to be willing to endure the temporary discomfort of outgrowing your old circle so you can embrace the permanent blessing of connecting with your new one. This is why I keep telling people, don't just chase goals, chase standards. A goal can be temporary, but standards are permanent. And your circle plays a massive role in whether your standards rise or fall. It's easy to say you want to wake up early, but if everyone around you sleeps until noon, you'll eventually hit the snooze button. It's easy to say you want to save money, but if everyone around you is spending recklessly, eventually you'll join them. It's easy to say you want to be disciplined, but if everyone around you is cutting corners, eventually you'll cut them too. That's why I don't judge people by their intentions. I judge them by their environment. Because no matter how strong your intentions are, if your environment doesn't support them, they will eventually collapse. So here's my challenge to you. Audit your circle. Take a good, honest look at who you spend the most time with. Do they reflect the future you want, or do they reflect the past you're trying to leave behind? Do they stretch you, or do they shrink you? Do they feed your dreams or starve them? Because your circle is either watering your potential or drying it out. And the sooner you get real about that, the sooner you can align yourself with winners who will help you rise. Understand this. Success is not a solo journey. Nobody gets to the top alone. Every champion has a circle of champions around them. Every leader has a circle of leaders. Every innovator has a circle of innovators. The question is not whether you will be influenced. The question is who you will allow to influence you. And once you take control of that, once you deliberately surround yourself with winners, your entire life begins to change. Because the moment you change your circle, you change your standard. And the moment you change your standard, you change your destiny. Your circle defines your standards. Don't let your standards be defined by mediocrity. Don't let them be defined by fear. Don't let them be defined by excuses. Choose a circle that elevates you. Choose a circle that challenges you. Choose a circle that demands the best version of you. And once you do, watch how your life transforms. Because winners don't just raise the bar for themselves. They raise it for everyone connected to them. And if you want to be a winner, you have to make the decision T. Oh, run with winners. Energy is contagious. And whether you realize it or not, every single day you are catching the energy of the people you spend the most time with. It's like being in a room full of smoke. You don't have to light a cigarette to walk out smelling like one. The same thing happens with energy. If you surround yourself with people who are negative, lazy, bitter, and constantly complaining, eventually their energy seeps into your system. You begin to complain without even realizing it. You start doubting yourself. You start questioning whether your goals are even worth pursuing. Their low energy pulls you down until you begin to match their frequency. But when you put yourself around people with passion, fire, hunger, and drive, that energy pushes you higher. You start thinking bigger. You start moving faster. You start believing more. Energy is contagious, and the kind of energy you absorb will determine the kind of life you live. You've experienced this before. Think about the times when you've been around someone who always sees the negative in everything. They can take the most beautiful day and find something wrong with it. They can take an opportunity and turn it into a problem. And if you spend too much time with them, you begin to see the world through their negative lens. On the other hand, think about being around someone who radiates positivity and determination. They walk into the room and suddenly the atmosphere changes. They make you feel like anything is possible. They speak life into your dreams instead of death. That kind of energy doesn't just motivate you, it transforms you. It shifts your perspective, and that shift can change everything. See, people underestimate how much energy controls performance. It's not just about skill, knowledge, or resources. It's about the energy you bring to the table. You could have all the talent in the world, but if your energy is drained because you're surrounded by toxic people, your performance will suffer. On the other hand, you could be struggling in some areas, but if your circle is full of high energy, focused, disciplined individuals, their energy will pull you up until you begin to rise. That's why you can't afford to ignore this. Energy is contagious, and you can't catch winning energy in a losing environment. Think about sports teams. When a player makes a big play, the entire team gets fired up. That momentum carries into the next play, the next quarter, the next game. The energy spreads. But when the team is filled with discouragement, when players are walking around with their heads down, that energy also spreads. One player's attitude can affect the entire locker room. That's how powerful energy is. It's not invisible. It's visible in how people move, how they talk, how they respond under pressure. And when you're surrounded by it long enough, it becomes your default mode. The same is true in everyday life. If your circle wakes up every day complaining about their job, guess what you'll start doing? Complaining about yours. If your circle believes nothing ever works out, you'll begin to believe the same thing. But if your circle wakes up early, goes to work on their goals, and carries energy that says, we're going to win no matter what, you'll find yourself catching that same fire. You may not even realize it at first. You'll just start moving differently. That's the unseen power of energy. I need you to understand this clearly. Energy is transferable. You may think you're strong enough to resist the energy around you, but human beings are wired to adapt to their environment. If you put a healthy person in a sick environment long enough, their health will be compromised. If you put a motivated person in a negative environment long enough, their motivation will fade. But if you put an average person in a winning environment, their energy will rise. That's why you don't just need talent around you. You need energy around you. You need people whose presence makes you sit up straighter, move faster, and dream bigger. Now, some of you are wondering why you feel drained all the time. You've got goals, you've got dreams, but every time you take one step forward, it feels like something is pulling you 2 steps back. Could it be that your energy is being drained by the people you're connected to? Could it be that every conversation you're having is stripping you of belief instead of filling you with it? You cannot afford to ignore this anymore. You've got to protect your energy like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. You can replace money. You can replace possessions. But when your energy is gone, your productivity is gone. Your creativity is gone. Your discipline is gone. And the truth is, energy is not just stolen, it's shared. If you're in the wrong environment, you'll lose it. If you're in the right environment, you'll gain it. That's why you have to be intentional about who gets access to you. Not ever. Jung deserves your time, because not everyone carries the energy that will help you grow. Some people's energy will heal you, and others' energy will poison you. And you must learn to discern the difference. I want you to think about this. Every conversation is either a deposit or a withdrawal. Every interaction either adds to your energy or subtracts from it. If you leave someone's presence feeling smaller, weaker, less confident, that's a withdrawal. But if you leave their presence feeling inspired, focused, and capable, that's a deposit. And if you track your relationships long enough, you'll notice a pattern. The people who constantly drain you are setting the tone for your life. The people who consistently pour into you are the ones you need to hold close. This is why successful people are intentional about their circle. They don't just choose friends based on history or convenience. They choose based on energy alignment. They understand that winning requires a certain level of energy, and they cannot afford to compromise it by surrounding themselves with people who don't carry that fire. They don't apologize for protecting their space because they know their future depends on it. You've got to adopt the same mindset. Stop feeling guilty for outgrowing people whose energy no longer matches where you're going. Stop apologizing for needing more than what your old circle can give you. This isn't about being better than anyone else. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. And you cannot do that if you're constantly absorbing low energy. Energy is contagious, so ask yourself, what are you catching? Are you catching doubt, fear, and negativity? Or are you catching passion, confidence, and determination? Because the answer will explain a lot about where your life is headed. If you don't like the answer, it's time to change the environment. It's time to find a circle whose energy matches your destiny, not your distractions. I promise you, when you shift your energy by shifting your circle, your whole life changes. You'll start to wake up earlier because the energy demands it. You'll start to push harder because the energy challenges you. You'll start to dream bigger because the energy makes small thinking uncomfortable. That's the beauty of surrounding yourself with the right energy. It makes growth your new normal. So don't underestimate this. Don't treat energy as something abstract or insignificant. Treat it as the fuel that powers your life. If you put dirty fuel in your car, it won't run efficiently. If you put low energy into your life, you won't reach your potential. But if you fill your tank with clean, powerful, winning energy, nothing can stop you. Protect it. Association determines destination. And if you don't believe that, take a moment to look back at your life and notice how many of your decisions were influenced by the people around you. You didn't learn how to talk by yourself. You didn't learn what foods to eat by yourself. You didn't even learn what was cool or uncool by yourself. Your environment taught you. The people you were associated with shaped your language, your habits, your vision, and even your beliefs about what was possible. And here's the reality, nothing has changed. As adults, we like to believe that we're independent, that we make choices completely on our own. But the truth is, our associations are still guiding our destination. Who you're with today is leading you somewhere tomorrow. And if you're not careful, you might be walking toward a future you never asked for, simply because you let the wrong people lead the way. Think about this. If you spend every day with people who have no dreams, no goals, no vision, and no hunger, where do you think you'll end up? You can't expect to run toward greatness while holding hands with people who are content living in mediocrity. At some point, their lack of urgency will slow you down. Their excuses will start sounding reasonable. Their comfort will start feeling attractive. Before you know it, you're walking at their pace, heading toward their destination, not yours. On the other hand, if you spend every day with people who are disciplined, determined, and focused, their habits start rubbing off on you. You naturally start moving in the same direction. Association determines destination. It's not optional. It's inevitable. The mistake most people make is thinking they can beat the influence of their environment. They tell themselves, I know my friends aren't going anywhere, but I'm strong enough to rise above it. Or, my circle doesn't share my vision, but I'll stay focused. That sounds good, but it doesn't work long term. You can't swim against the current forever. At some point, you either get swept away or you get out of the water. That's why you must choose your associations carefully. Your destiny is too important to let it be determined by people who aren't even serious about their own future. You don't have to look far for examples. Why do you think young athletes often move across the country to train with elite programs? Because they know their destination requires an environment that matches their goals. If they stay in the same place, training with people who don't have the same hunger, their skills won't develop the way they need to. The association matters. You see this in business too. Entrepreneurs go to conferences, masterminds, and networking events because they know that being in proximity to winners accelerates their growth. They know that iron sharpens iron and that every conversation with a high achiever is like stepping into the future they're trying to create. But here's the flip side. Wrong associations can destroy your future. You don't even have to be the one making the bad decisions. Just being in the wrong crowd can derail your path. People have lost careers, reputations, and even their freedom simply because they were associated with the wrong group. That's how powerful association is. It doesn't just influence your mindset, it influences how others see you, the opportunities you attract, and the direction your life takes. That's why you got to ask yourself some tough questions. Where are the people closest to me headed? What do their lives look like? Are they living with purpose or are they drifting? Are they disciplined or are they careless? Are they building something meaningful or are they wasting time? Because if you're walking beside them every day, don't fool yourself. You're on the same road, and roads have destinations. If they're walking toward destruction, you are too. If they're walking toward greatness, you are too. Now let's get practical. Association. You can honor your past without letting it dictate your future. There's a saying, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. That's not just a cliche, that's reality. If you want to know where you're going, look at who you're walking with. If you're surrounded by winners, by people who push you, stretch you, and inspire you, then your future is bright. But if you're surrounded by people who doubt you, distract you, and discourage you, then your future is in danger. Association determines destination. Think about how this plays out in everyday decisions. Let's say you want to start working out consistently. If your circle values health and fitness, you'll naturally fall in line. They'll encourage you, invite you to the gym, and hold you accountable. But if your circle doesn't care about health, they'll tempt you with junk food, laugh at your discipline, and slowly wear down your motivation. It's not that you don't have willpower, it's that your associations are pulling you toward their destination. Or let's say you want to save money and build wealth. If your circle is full of disciplined investors, you'll catch their habits. But if your circle spends recklessly, you'll feel pressured to spend just to fit in. Again, it's not about your intention, it's about your association. Even your belief system is shaped by association. If your circle constantly talks about limitations, you'll start seeing limits everywhere. If they talk about opportunities, you'll start seeing possibilities everywhere. The lens through which you see the world is heavily influenced by the conversations you're surrounded by. That's why some people quit on their dreams. They didn't lose faith on their own. Their circle drained it out of them. And that's why others achieved the impossible. They didn't find courage on their own. Their circle gave it to them. So what's the takeaway? Be intentional with your associations. Don't leave it up to chance. Don't just hang around people because it's convenient or comfortable. Choose your circle based on where you want to go, not where you've been. If you want to be a better leader, associate with leaders. If you want to grow in faith, associate with people of strong faith. If you want to succeed in business, associate with entrepreneurs who are already where you want to be. Because whether you realize it or not, they're showing you your future. And here's the truth. You don't even need to be in the same room to associate. Books, podcasts, mentors from afar, these count as associations too. If you can't find winners in your immediate environment, then find them through their work, their content, their teaching. Fill your mind with their energy until you attract people like them into your physical circle. There are no excuses. You can control your associations if you're serious about your destination. At the end of the day, life is about choices. You don't get to choose where you start, but you do get to choose who you associate with. And that choice will either accelerate your journey or delay it. Don't take it lightly. Association determines destination. Walk with the wise and you'll become wise. Walk with the lazy and you'll become lazy. Walk with the hungry and you'll become hungry. The path you're on right now is not random. It's tied to the people you're walking with. If you want to change your destination, the first step is to change your association. Winners push you to grow, and that is one of the greatest gifts you can ever receive from the people around you. Growth doesn't come from comfort. It doesn't come from being around people who let you stay the same. It doesn't come from being in a circle that allows you to keep repeating your excuses. Growth happens when somebody looks you in the eye and says, I love you, but you're better than this. I care about you too much to watch you waste your potential. I respect you too much to let you stay stuck where you are. Winners don't let you stay comfortable in mediocrity. Winners don't clap for you when you're making excuses. Winners don't celebrate your laziness or your procrastination. Winners push you, challenge you, demand more from you, and in that process, they force you to stretch beyond what you thought was possible. Think about it. Every single one of us has blind spots, areas of weakness, places where we sell ourselves short, moments where we accept less than what we're capable of. And if all you have around you are people who let those blind spots go unchecked, you'll stay the same year after year. But when you're surrounded by winners, they won't let it slide. They'll call you out. They'll say, stop playing small, stop wasting time, stop talking about it, start being about it. At first, it might feel uncomfortable, even irritating, because winners won't let you coast. But that discomfort is the seed of growth. You see, comfort feels good in the moment, but it doesn't change you. Growth. H doesn't feel good in the moment, but it transforms you. Winners understand that, and they live by it. That's why when you're around them, you either rise to their level or you get left behind. Their standards are high. And if you want to stay in their circle, you've got to match it. And that's the beauty of it. Their presence demands your elevation. Let me give you an example. Think about athletes again. Why do the best athletes in the world train together? Because they know that iron sharpens iron. If you're the strongest person in the room, you won't get stronger. You'll just maintain. But if you're surrounded by people stronger, faster, and more disciplined than you, you'll be forced to level up. You'll run faster just to keep up. You'll lift heavier just to compete. You'll train harder just to belong. That environment pushes growth out of you that you would never pull out of yourself. Winners don't just push you by challenging you. They also push you by showing you what's possible. When you see them executing, when you see them staying disciplined, when you see them achieving things you thought were out of reach, it makes you rethink your own limits. You start saying, if they can do it, I can do it too. Their example becomes your inspiration. Their success becomes your blueprint. Their growth becomes your standard. And before you know it, the very things that used to intimidate you become the things you're chasing. That's what happens when you're around winners. They expand your vision of what's possible. Now, let me tell you the opposite. If you're surrounded by people who don't push you, people who let you get away with excuses, people who say, it's okay, don't worry about it, maybe next time, you will never grow. They mean well. They might even love you. But their acceptance of your excuses is killing your potential. Growth requires pressure. Growth requires accountability. Growth requires someone saying, that's not good enough, and you know it. If your circle doesn't do that, you're not surrounded by winners. You're surrounded by enablers. And here's the tough truth. Sometimes you won't like the people who push you. You'll feel like they're too hard, too demanding, too critical. But years later, you'll look back and realize those were the people who loved you the most. Because real love isn't about making you feel comfortable. It's about making you better. The people who push you to grow are the people who believe in your potential more than your excuses. They're the people who refuse to let you settle. That's why you need them. Think about the times in your life when you grew the most. Was it when everything was easy? Was it when nobody challenged you? Or was it when someone demanded more from you than you thought you had? Growth happens in the gym when the trainer says, hold one more rep. Growth happens in the classroom when the teacher says, punch, you can do better. Growth happens in life when your circle says, stop settling for average. Every time someone pushes you beyond your limits, you discover that your limits were an illusion. That's why you can't be afraid of people who challenge you. You should be afraid of people who never do. Winners also push you by refusing to let you quit. There will be moments in life when you want to give up, when the road feels too long, when the obstacles feel too heavy. And if you're surrounded by people who don't care, they'll let you quit. They'll say, it's okay. At least you tried. But winners won't let that happen. Winners will grab you by the hand, drag you back up and say, we're not finished yet. They'll remind you why you started. They'll remind you who you are. They'll remind you of the standards you set. And in that moment, their strength becomes your strength. Their belief becomes your belief. Their resilience becomes your resilience. That's how winners push you to grow. They don't just challenge your excuses. They also carry you when you can't carry yourself. And listen, winners don't push you for their benefit. They push you for yours. They're not trying to make themselves look better. They're trying to bring out the best in you. That's the difference between winners and haters. Haters criticize to tear you down. Winners critique to build you up. One comes from insecurity, the other comes from belief. That's why you must learn to recognize the difference. Don't confuse correction with criticism. Don't confuse accountability with negativity. The people who push you to grow are often the very people who see the greatness in you that you can't yet see in yourself. But let me be real with you. It's not always easy being in a circle of winners. It's not easy being pushed. It's not easy having your excuses exposed. It's not easy being told you can do more when you already feel like you've given your all. But that's the price of growth. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Muscles are built under resistance. Character is forged under challenge. If you want to grow, you must be willing to embrace the discomfort of being pushed. And the best people to push you are winners, because they're not pushing from theory. They're pushing from experience. They've been where you are. They've overcome what you're facing. And because they made it through, they know you can too. So here's my challenge to you. Stop surrounding yourself with people who only make you feel good. Start surrounding yourself with people who make you be good. Stop clinging to relationships where you're celebrated for staying the same. Start seeking relationships where you're challenged to become more. Winners will not let you stay who you are. They will push, pull, and stretch you until you grow into who you were meant to be. And though it may not feel good in the moment, years from now, you'll look back and thank them for it. Winners push you to grow because they know that greatness requires accountability. They know that potential without pressure remains potential. They know that comfort kills dreams. That's why they'll challenge your excuses, raise your standards, expand your vision, and demand your best. And if you stay in their presence long enough, you won't just grow, you'll transform. You'll look back at the person you used to be and barely recognize them, because winners force the best version of you to emerge. That is why your circle matters so much. That is why you cannot afford to settle for people who let you stay the same. Growth is not optional if you want to live a life of purpose, and growth is not possible without being pushed. Winners are the ones who provide that push. Winners are the ones who won't let you quit. Winners are the ones who remind you of your greatness when you forget. Surround yourself with them and you'll grow into everything you were created to be. Accountability is power, because accountability is the bridge between your intentions and your results. Most people set goals, they talk about what they want to do, they dream about success, but without accountability, those goals turn into empty promises. Accountability is the force that keeps you honest when your feelings want to quit, when your body wants to sleep, and when your mind wants to take shortcuts. It's the voice that says, you said you were going to do this, so do it. Without accountability, even the best intentions collapse under the weight of excuses. That's why surrounding yourself with winners is so important. They don't just cheer you on, they hold you accountable to the standard you said you wanted for yourself. When you are around winners, you can't hide. They see through laziness, they see through excuses, and they won't let you get away with being less than what you said you would be. Winners remind you of your commitments. They pull you back on track when you drift, and they challenge you to keep moving forward even when you don't feel like it. This kind of accountability is uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Comfort doesn't create growth. Accountability does. It forces you to confront your weaknesses. It exposes your patterns, and it reminds you that your word has to mean something. If you say you're going to wake up at 5 a.m. and put in the work, then accountability makes sure you actually do it, not just talk about it. The truth is, most people fail not because they don't have talent, but because they don't have accountability. They are surrounded by people who enable their excuses, who let them off the hook, who tell them it's okay to quit when it gets tough. But when you are surrounded by winners, that environment changes. Winners won't allow you to stay at the same level. They'll push you, they'll challenge you, and they'll call you out when you're slipping. They won't accept mediocrity because they don't accept it in themselves. Accountability is a standard that becomes non-negotiable. And when you embrace it, you begin to see results that you never thought possible. Think about it. Why do the best athletes in the world hire coaches and trainers even when they're already at the top of their game? It's not because they don't know what to do. It's because accountability is power. The coach makes sure they stick to the plan, that they don't slack off, that they stay disciplined even when no one is watching. The same principle applies to your life. You can know what to do, you can have the knowledge, you can have the talent, but without accountability, you'll always fall short. Winners know this, and that's why they surround themselves with other winners who will demand their best. Accountability also builds integrity. When you live a life without accountability, you start to lie to yourself. You say you're going to work out, but you don't. You say you're going to start the business, but you keep delaying. You say you're going to write the book, but it's still sitting in your head. Every broken promise chips away at your confidence and self-belief. But accountability forces you to align your words with your actions. When someone is there to check on you, to ask if you did what you said you would do, you begin to respect your own word again. You begin to believe in yourself because you're finally living up to what you declared. That's power. That's the kind of transformation accountability brings. And let's be real, accountability is not about punishment, it's about progress. Winners don't hold you accountable to break you, they hold you accountable to build you. They want to see you succeed. They want to see you elevate. And they want to see you live at your full potential. Sometimes it's tough love, sometimes it's a hard truth, but it's always rooted in growth. Accountability is a gift that forces you to rise above your excuses and become the person you were created to be. When you're on this journey, there will be days when you don't feel like it. There will be mornings when you want to hit the snooze button, when you want to push your goals to tomorrow, when you want to settle for less because it's easier. But accountability steps in and says, so no, not today. You committed to this. You said you want greatness. Stay at a level beneath your potential. When you're surrounded by that kind of accountability, success becomes inevitable. Accountability also creates consistency. Success is not built on one big moment. It's built on daily habits, small disciplines repeated over time. Without accountability, it's too easy to skip those disciplines. One missed day turns into two, and before you know it, you're back to square one. But when someone is there to check in, to push you, to remind you of the goal, you stay consistent. And consistency is the foundation of mastery. Accountability keeps you in the game long enough to see the results. So if you truly want to reach the next level, ask yourself, who is holding me accountable? Who in my life is making sure I keep the promises I make to myself? Who in my circle refuses to let me quit when it gets tough? If you don't have those people, then you need to go find them. You need to build a circle of winners who will not only inspire you, but will also demand your best. That's the power of accountability. Don't run from it. Don't see it as a burden. Embrace it as the very thing that will turn your potential into reality. Accountability is power because it transforms your intentions into results, your words into actions, and your dreams into accomplishments. Surround yourself with winners who hold you accountable, and you will find yourself becoming the winner you were meant to be. Remove toxic influence because the people, environments, and habits you allow into your life are either fueling your growth or feeding your destruction. Toxic influence is not always obvious. Sometimes it looks like a negative friend who always talks down about your dreams. Sometimes it looks like a family member who constantly reminds you of your past mistakes. Sometimes it's that voice inside your head, shaped by years of doubt and criticism. And if you don't actively remove these toxic forces, they will drain you of your energy, steal your vision, and keep you locked in the same cycle year after year. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you are carrying the weight of toxic influence, you will never be able to run at full speed towards your destiny. The reality is toxic influence doesn't just show up as anger or violence. It shows up as subtle discouragement, as small comments that plant seeds of doubt. It shows up in conversations filled with gossip instead of growth, negativity instead of possibility, and fear instead of faith. Toxic influence whispers in your ear, why try? You're not good enough. Nobody in your family has ever done it. Stay where you are. Be safe. Be comfortable. And if you listen long enough, you start to believe it. You start to shrink your dreams to fit the smallness of their perspective. You start to second guess yourself. And before you know it, you're living someone else's limitations instead of your own potential. That's why removing toxic influence is not just an option. It's a necessity. You cannot plant seeds of greatness in contaminated soil and expect a harvest. You cannot expect to build confidence while surrounding yourself with voices that constantly tear you down. You cannot pursue excellence while entertaining people who celebrate mediocrity. Every day you allow toxic influence into your life is another day you delay your progress. Winners understand this. They are intentional about who gets access to their time, their energy, and their mind. Removing toxic influence requires courage because sometimes toxicity comes from the people closest to you. It might be a friend you've known for years, a coworker you spend time with daily, or even a family member who can't see past their own insecurities. But you must understand, protecting your peace and your purpose is more important than protecting someone else's comfort. You don't have to hate them, But you do have to set boundaries. You don't have to cut them off forever, but you do need to limit the amount of access they have to your spirit. Because every conversation you have, every person you allow into your circle is either pushing you closer to your goals or pulling you further away. Toxic influence doesn't just waste your time, it alters your mindset. If you hang around complainers long enough, you will start to complain. If you spend time with people who gossip, soon enough, you'll find yourself spreading the same poison. If you surround yourself with people who make excuses, eventually you'll make excuses too. That's the danger of toxic influence. It spreads like a disease. It infects your energy, your thoughts, and eventually your actions. That's why you must be vigilant. You must guard your environment the way a soldier guards a battlefield, because your future is at stake. Sometimes the toxic influence isn't other people. It's your own habits. It's the hours you spend scrolling through negativity on social media. It's the junk you feed your body when you know you need inner. Too wired to perform. It's the television shows, the podcasts, the music, the distractions that don't feed your spirit but drain it. Toxic influence comes in many forms, and if you're not careful, it seeps into your daily routine until it feels normal. But greatness requires you to be different. Greatness requires you to choose what others ignore. Greatness requires you to remove every toxic seed before it takes root. Now, removing toxic influence doesn't mean you will never feel negativity again. It doesn't mean people won't talk about you or try to pull you down, but it does mean you choose not to give it power. It means you refuse to entertain the conversation. It means you walk away when gossip starts. It means you mute or unfollow voices that bring nothing but drama. It means you replace toxic energy with sources of strength, books that build you, mentors who guide you, friends who inspire you, and environments that challenge you. The absence of toxicity creates space for positivity, growth, and focus. I need you to understand that your energy is one of the most valuable currencies you have. You only get so much of it each day. And if you waste it fighting toxic influence, you won't have enough left to invest in your goals. Winners protect their energy because they know it fuels their performance. They know that 1 hour of negativity can ruin an entire day of progress. They know that one toxic relationship can destroy years of growth. So they make tough decisions. They let go of the people, the habits, and the environments that no longer serve them, not because they're arrogant, but because they're focused. You have to decide what you want more, comfort or change. Keeping toxic influence around may feel comfortable because it's familiar, but it will never help you grow. Growth requires discomfort. Growth requires cutting ties with the things that keep you small. Growth requires you to stand up and say, no more. I will not allow negativity to control my life. I will not let toxic voices define my future. I will not stay in environments that kill my spirit. I am removing every toxic influence because my destiny is too valuable to be wasted. When you begin to remove toxic influence, your clarity increases. You start to hear your own voice again. You start to believe in your vision again. You begin to see possibilities instead of problems. You begin to attract new opportunities because your energy shifts. People who once doubted you will be shocked at your progress, not realizing it was never your ability that was the problem. It was the toxic influence clouding your potential. By removing it, you unlock the strength that was inside you all along. So today, take inventory. Who are the people in your circle? What are the habits in your routine? What are the voices in your head? Ask yourself, does this influence push me forward or pull me back? Does it build me or break me? Does it feed my faith or feed my fear? If it's toxic, remove it. Don't wait until tomorrow. Don't make excuses. Remove it now. Your future is too important to gamble with. Removing toxic influence is not easy, but it is necessary. You cannot build a winning life in a losing environment. You cannot create greatness while entertaining poison. You cannot reach the mountaintop while carrying the weight of people and habits that want to keep you in the valley. Winners make the tough choice to remove toxicity, and that's why they rise above. Your destiny is waiting. The only question is, will you clear the space for it to manifest? Because at the end of the day, removing toxic influence is about making room for the life you've always wanted. It's about creating an environment where your dreams can breathe, where your confidence can grow, and where your energy can flow freely toward the things that matter. Remove toxic influence, and you will discover that you already had everything you needed inside of you. All you had to do was clear the clutter, silence the negativity, and surround yourself with the energy of winners. Iron sharpens iron because no one becomes great alone. No matter how talented, disciplined, or gifted you are, there comes a point where your growth requires friction, challenge, and accountability from others who are just as driven as you. Iron does not sharpen itself. It takes contact, resistance, and pressure to create an edge sharp enough to cut through obstacles. In the same way, if you surround yourself with people who are not challenging you, who are not pushing you, who are not forcing you to elevate, then you will grow dull. You will settle into comfort. You will plateau, and you will lose the edge you need to fight for your destiny. Winners understand this truth, which is why they stay close to people who bring out the best in them and refuse to let them stay the same. Think about it. Iron sharpening iron is not a smooth process. Sparks fly. There is heat. There is pressure. It's uncomfortable, but that discomfort is what creates sharpness. The same applies to life. Growth doesn't come from ease. It comes from challenge. When you're surrounded by people who are better than you in certain areas, they expose your weaknesses. They make you realize you're capable of more. They won't let you get away with half-hearted effort because they hold themselves to a higher standard. That's the power of iron sharpening iron. It's not about making you feel good. It's about making you stronger. If you want to be disciplined, surround yourself with disciplined people. If you want to be courageous, surround yourself with courageous people. If you want to be successful, surround yourself with successful people. Because whether you realize it or not, you absorb the energy, habits, and mindset of those around you. When you spend time with winners, their grind, their focus, and their commitment start to rub off on you. You start to think differently. You start to act differently. You start to expect more from yourself. Iron sharpens iron because excellence creates more excellence. Now, many people run from this kind of environment because it's uncomfortable. They don't like being challenged. They don't like being told they're slacking. They don't like the feeling of being stretched. But what they don't realize is that staying in comfort keeps them dull. Comfort is the enemy of growth. If you want to grow sharper, you have to embrace the friction. You have to lean into the pressure. You have to welcome the people who demand more from you instead of surrounding yourself with people who accept your excuses. Iron sharpens iron also means that you have to be willing to sharpen others. Growth is not just about receiving, it's also about giving. When you hold others accountable, when you challenge them to rise higher, you not only help them, but you strengthen yourself. The process of sharpening is mutual. Winners sharpen winners because they understand that collective growth creates unstoppable momentum. When you're in a circle of people who are all sharpening each other, everyone rises, everyone becomes stronger, everyone becomes sharper. This principle applies to every area of life. In sports, athletes train with others who are faster, stronger, and more skilled because it pushes them to improve. In business, entrepreneurs seek out masterminds and mentors who can stretch their thinking. In academics, students who study with sharp peers learn faster and retain more. In relationships, people who choose partners that challenge them emotionally and mentally grow into better versions of themselves. Iron sharpens iron is a universal truth. Growth requires growth partners. But let me be clear, not everyone can sharpen you. Wood cannot sharpen iron. Plastic cannot sharpen iron. Only iron sharpens iron. That means not everyone qualifies to be in your circle. If the people around you are not committed to growth, if they are not pursuing excellence, if they are not willing to push themselves, then they cannot sharpen you. At best, they'll keep you the same, and at worst, they'll dull your edge. This is why winners are selective about who they let into their inner circle. They don't waste time with people who don't want to grow because they know growth requires partnership. And here's the truth. You already know when you're around iron. You feel it. There's an energy. There's a standard. Iron doesn't let you talk small, think small, or act small. Iron demands that you elevate. Iron reminds you of your goals when you forget. Iron refuses to let you compromise when it gets hard. Iron looks you in the eye and says, you said you wanted this. Now show me. That kind of energy changes you. It breaks down your excuses and forces you to rise. Iron sharpening iron also teaches humility because when you're around people who are stronger in areas where you're weak, you realize you don't have it all figured out. You realize there's more to learn. You realize that your potential is still untapped and that humility opens the door for growth. The sharpest people are those who are willing to be sharpened. The dullest are those who think they already know everything. Winners stay sharp because they're willing to be challenged by other winners. But iron sharpening iron also requires trust. When two blades clash, there's a risk of breaking if they're not forged well. In life, this means that in order for people to sharpen you, you have to be willing to let them see the real you. You have to be open to correction, open to feedback, open to being stretched. Many people never grow because their pride blocks them from letting others sharpen them. But if you truly want to be great, you have to put your ego aside and let the process refine you. Iron sharpening iron doesn't happen overnight. It's a continuous process. You don't get sharp by being challenged once. You get sharp by being challenged daily. That's why your environment matters so much. It's not about one motivational conversation. It's about a lifestyle of surrounding yourself with people who demand your best every single day. Day after day, conversation after conversation, action after action. You are sharpened until your edge is unbreakable. And let me say this, if you're not being sharpened, you're being dulled. There is no neutral. Either your environment is making you stronger or it's making you weaker. Either the people around you are sharpening your focus or they're distracting you. Either they're feeding your courage or they're feeding your fear. That's why you have to ask yourself, who in my life is sharpening me? Who in my life is pushing me higher? Who in my life refuses to let me settle? And if you don't have those people, you need to find them. You need to seek them out because your growth depends on it. Iron sharpens iron because growth requires resistance. You don't get stronger lifting light weights. You get stronger lifting heavy ones. You don't grow sharper avoiding conflict. You grow sharper facing it. You don't become excellent by avoiding challenge. You become excellent by embracing it. Winners don't run from pressure. They use it. They don't avoid people who challenge them. They welcome them because they know that every clash, every spark, every ounce of friction is creating the edge they need to win. So here's the challenge. Look at your circle. Are they sharpening you or are they dulling you? Do they call you higher or do they pull you lower? Do they feed your growth or do they feed your comfort? If you want to be sharp, surround yours. Elf with iron. Surround yourself with people who make you uncomfortable in the best way. Surround yourself with people who push you, challenge you, stretch you, and won't let you stay the same. Because at the end of the day, iron sharpens iron and winners sharpen winners. If you want to live at your highest potential, you can't do it alone. You need people who will grind against you, who will spark growth in you, and who will make sure your edge never goes dull. Find your iron, sharpen each other, and rise together. Change your circle, change your life, because who you spend your time with is shaping who you become, whether you realize it or not. You can have all the ambition in the world, but if you're surrounded by people who don't share that drive, eventually your fire will burn out. You can have talent, but if the people around you don't challenge you to sharpen it, that talent will stay average. On the other hand, if you place yourself in a circle of winners, people who push boundaries, who set high standards, who live with discipline and vision, then your life begins to elevate. You start to think bigger, act stronger, and believe deeper because your environment is feeding your growth instead of suffocating it. Think about it. Your circle is either your anchor or your engine. An anchor holds you down, keeps you stuck in the same place, and drags you when you try to move forward. An engine propels you, pushes you, and gives you the momentum to reach new levels. Too many people are trying to build a future with an anchor tied to their back. They want success, but their friends are content with mediocrity. They want growth, but their circle is satisfied with gossip and negativity. They want to fly, but they're surrounded by people who are afraid of heights. Until you change your circle, your life will stay limited by their mindset. Winners know that elevation requires separation. If you want to rise, you can't stay grounded with people who don't want to move. It doesn't mean you hate them. It doesn't mean you're better than them, but it does mean you recognize that you're on different paths. Birds of a feather flock together. Eagles don't fly with pigeons. Champions don't train with quitters. If your circle doesn't reflect the life you want, it's time to make changes. Change your circle and your life will follow. Changing your circle also changes your conversations. When you're around people who dream small, the conversations are about problems, complaints, and excuses. When you're around people who dream big, The conversations are about ideas, opportunities, and strategies. One circle talks about what they can't do. The other talks about how they will do it. One circle drains you. The other fills you. Over time, the words you hear become the thoughts you think, and the thoughts you think become the life you live. If you want a better life, you need better conversations, and better conversations come from a better circle. It's not just about success in business or money. It's about every area of life. If you want to grow spiritually, you need a circle of people who value faith and discipline. If you want to grow physically, you need a circle that values health and fitness. If you want to grow emotionally, you need a circle that supports honesty, healing, and accountability. Every area of your life is influenced by your circle. That's why winners are intentional. They choose their environments instead of letting environments choose them. Some people resist this idea because they're loyal to their current circle. They say, these are my friends. I've known them forever. But longevity doesn't equal destiny. Just because you've known someone for years doesn't mean they belong in your future. Some people were only meant to be part of your past or your present, not your next level. Holding on to relationships out of guilt or fear can cost you your purpose. You have to ask yourself, is my loyalty to this circle worth my destiny? Because at the end of the day, you can't take everyone with you. Some people don't want to grow, and if you insist on carrying them, they'll weigh you down. Changing your circle also forces you to raise your standards. When you're the smartest, hardest working person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You need to be in spaces where you're challenged, where you feel uncomfortable, where people make you want to level up. Growth doesn't happen in comfort zones. When you put yourself around people who are playing the game at a higher level, it stretches you. It forces you to ask, am I doing enough? Am I slacking? Am I giving my best? That's how you grow, by being around people who won't let you settle. And let me tell you, changing your circle will change your vision. Some of you are dreaming too small because you've never seen what's possible. Your circle has convinced you that average is all there is. But when you get around winners, they show you bigger possibilities. They show you what discipline can build, what focus can create, what faith can achieve. Exposure changes expectations. When you see someone from a background like yours achieving greatness, you realize you can do it too. That's the power of a winning circle. They expand your vision until your old limitations no longer make sense. Of course, changing your circle won't always be easy. Some people will accuse you of being arrogant, of forgetting where you came from, of thinking you're better than them. But the truth is, you're not leaving them. You're choosing you. You're choosing your purpose, your growth, your future. And if they really loved you, they'd want you to grow. Winners support winners. Only insecure people try to hold you back. So don't let guilt keep you locked in a circle that doesn't serve you. Remember, you're not obligated to stay the same just to make others comfortable. When you change your circle, you also change your energy. Negative people drain you. Positive people fuel you. Toxic people make you doubt yourself. Supportive people remind you of your strengths. Lazy people justify your excuses. Disciplined people inspire your grind. Energy is contagious, and the quickest way to change your energy is to change the people you spend time with. Your life is a reflection of the energy you absorb daily. If you want high energy, surround yourself with people who are on fire for their goals. Changing your circle doesn't just improve your environment, it changes your identity. You start to see yourself differently when you're in a circle of winners. You stop saying, oh, I can't, and you start saying, why not me? You stop settling for survival and you start aiming for success. You stop identifying with your past and you start identifying with your potential. Who you are is influenced by who you walk with. Walk with losers and you become a loser. Walk with winners and you become a winner. Let's be clear. Changing your circle doesn't mean you'll never face challenges. Life will still test you. Obstacles will still appear. Setbacks will still come. But the difference is, when you have a winning circle, you won't face those battles alone. You'll have people to encourage you, people to guide you, people to lift you when you fall. And sometimes that's the difference between quitting and continuing. The right circle keeps you in the fight when your strength runs out. So ask yourself right now, who is in my circle? Do they inspire me or drain me? Do they push me or pull me? Do they sharpen me or dull me? If your circle doesn't reflect your goals, it's time to make changes. Start seeking out mentors, communities, networks, and friendships that elevate you. Find people who are walking the path you want to walk. Find people who are already living the life you dream about. Don't just wait for them, pursue them. Be intentional because your future depends on it. Change your circle, change your life is not just a motivational phrase, it's a reality. Every success story is built on the foundation of environment. Great athletes had great teammates and coaches. Great leaders had great mentors. Great innovators had great collaborators. Nobody wins alone. Your circle is shaping you every single day. And if you want to change your life, the fastest way is to change the people you allow into your space. At the end of the day, your circle is either helping you climb or holding you down. You cannot rise with people who refuse to leave the ground. You cannot reach your highest potential while staying loyal to environments that don't demand your best. Change your circle and you'll watch your life transform. Because when you surround yourself with winners, you stop surviving and start thriving. You stop talking and start doing. You stop dreaming and start living. And that's when everything changes, when everything has been said, when all the lessons have been broken down, and when you've heard about the power of environment, association, and the type of people you keep close. It all comes down to this. Life is too short, too precious, and too full of untapped potential for you to waste it in the wrong circles. You don't get unlimited chances. You don't get unlimited time. Every day you spend with people who don't push you, who don't encourage you, who don't demand the best from you is a day you lose forever. And once it's gone, it never comes back. That's why the conclusion of everything we've talked about is simple but powerful. Surround yourself with winners because winners change everything. Think about the kind of life you truly want to live. Not the life you've been told to settle for. Not the life your environment convinced you was all you could have. But the life that exists in your deepest dreams, the one where you wake up with passion, where you walk with confidence, where your talents are fully used, where you're fulfilled because you know you're operating in your purpose. That fee isn't reserved for a chosen few. That life isn't something that only people with privilege or perfect backgrounds can live. That life is available to you. But to step into it, you can't do it alone, and you can't do it in the wrong company. The people around you are either pulling you toward that light or pushing you away from it. That's why who you choose to surround yourself with will determine how close or how far you get to your destiny. When you look back at history, at sports, at business, at faith, at any area of greatness, you'll notice something. Winners always have other winners around them. Champions don't exist in isolation. Leaders aren't built in silence. Movements don't rise without a circle of committed people. Every great story you've ever admired was powered by a winning environment. Michael Jordan had a team and coaches that demanded excellence. Martin Luther King Jr. had a circle of believers who marched and sacrificed with him. Entrepreneurs who changed the world had mentors, partners, and networks that supported their vision. You're no different. You're not meant to walk alone. But you're also not meant to walk with everyone. The ones you walk with will decide how far you'll go. The truth is, some of you have been carrying relationships like they're chains. You know they don't push you. You know they don't want more for themselves. You know they don't believe in growth, in discipline, in sacrifice. But you stay attached because of history, because of guilt, because of fear. Let me tell you, your destiny cannot be held hostage by someone else's comfort zone. Your future is too important to sacrifice for someone who refuses to grow. You can love people without living where they live. You can care for people without shrinking yourself to fit into their limitations. The people meant for your next level won't hold you back. They'll push you forward. And make no mistake, when you decide to change your circle, it's going to get uncomfortable. People will talk. They'll say you've changed. They'll accuse you of forgetting where you came from. But understand something. Growth is supposed to change you. Elevation is supposed to separate you. Becoming more means you can't stay the same. You're not abandoning your roots. You're honoring them by becoming everything you were meant to be. The people who truly love you will celebrate your growth. The people who can't handle it were never for you to begin with. Don't let the fear of being misunderstood keep you trapped in the wrong circle. As you look ahead, you have to make a decision. Are you going to live for approval? Are you going to live for purpose? Are you going to keep circles that keep you comfortable? Are you going to find circles that keep you accountable? Are you going to die with potential? Or are you going to live with fulfillment? Winners ask those hard questions, and winners choose growth over comfort every single time. And you don't have to wait until you're ready. You don't have to wait until the perfect opportunity. You don't have to wait until you feel confident. You can start today by evaluating your circle, by distancing yourself from people who drain you, by seeking out environments that inspire you. Every step you take toward a winning circle is a step toward the life you were meant to live. But don't just think about what you can get from a winning circle. Think about what you can give. Don't just look for people who can push you. Be the person who pushes others. Don't just wait for motivation. Be the source of motivation in your circle. Winners don't just receive, they contribute. They bring energy, encouragement, accountability, and vision to their environments. If you want to attract winners, you have to live like one. Excellence attracts excellence. Discipline attracts discipline. Integrity attracts integrity. The best way to create a winning circle is to start by becoming the kind of person winners want around them. And here's the beautiful part. When you surround yourself with winners, you create a ripple effect. You begin to inspire people who are watching you. You begin to show others what's possible. You begin to break generational cycles. You begin to change not only your life, but the lives of your family, your community, and even people you'll never meet. One winning circle can impact the world. That's the kind of power you step into when you make this decision. So don't leave here just motivated. Leave here committed. Committed to being intentional about your circle. Committed to cutting off what no longer serves your growth. Committed to seeking out mentors, communities, and environments that elevate you. Committed to living at a level where mediocrity is no longer acceptable. Your future depends on it. The world doesn't need more people settling for average. The world doesn't need more people trapped in toxic circles. The world needs leaders, dreamers, builders, fighters, people who are willing to surround themselves with winners and then become winners themselves. That's how change happens. That's how greatness spreads. That's how legacies are built. At the end of your life, when you look back, you won't regret leaving behind negative relationships. You won't regret stepping into new environments. You won't regret choosing growth over comfort. What you will regret is staying stuck when you knew you could have flown. You will regret keeping circles that kept you small when you had the chance to be great. Don't let regret write your story. Let courage write it. Let vision write it. Let faith write it. Surround yourself with winners and let your life be proof of what happens when you choose wisely. So this is the call. Evaluate your circle. Elevate your life. Don't just talk about change. Live it. Don't just dream about success. Build it. Don't just want growth. Pursue it with everything in you. The people you surround yourself with will shape your destiny. So choose them with the seriousness your future deserves. You can't change where you started, but you can change where you end up. And where you end up will be decided by your circle. Change your circle and you will change your conversations. Change your conversations and you will change your mindset. Change your mindset and you will change your actions. Change your actions and you will change your results. Change your results and you will change your life. It all begins with one decision. Surround yourself with winners, because when you do, everything else falls into place. And when it's all said and done, you look back and realize you didn't just survive. You thrived. You didn't just exist, you lived. You didn't just dream, you accomplished. And it all started the day you decided that your circle would no longer be a cage but a launch pad, that your environment would no longer be a weight but a wing, that your life would no longer be average but extraordinary. Surround yourself with winners and watch your life transform into something you once thought was impossible.